Hello and welcome back again to Rage Gaming and more Shadow of the Erdtree. Today marks the first of an ongoing series that I used to do, but now we're starting up again for the DLC. In short, I like to look at weird, interesting, or often useful things in the game, stuff you might not have known about normally. This series is based off not just stuff that I find or realize myself, but also community finds, or actually this community, because a lot of comments, suggestions, and even discussions do lead to cool stuff we can show in videos. It's all DLC focused. Let's begin. We kick this video off with a surprising one, all to do with that silent and strange NPC, Forager Brood, although there's actually multiple of them. If you're unaware, you can find these Brood NPCs at a few locations around the world. They'll say nothing to you, but when you interact with them, you'll receive a cookbook for different crafting purposes. As usual, some will be more useful than others, but you can unlock the craft for something like a well-pickled turtle neck, and that's an item that can greatly increase your stamina recovery speed, amazing for a boss fight. In any case, it's a strange NPC, because usually this is an enemy. The Brood look like just any other pest enemy type, so you need to be very careful when you approach a pest in this DLC in case you accidentally kill a helpful Brood. Either way, Brood mostly is just found and interacted with and then left on their own. But there is one that's a bit unique that'll give you an extra reward. The one in the Scadu Altus region, just north of the Church of the Crusade. When you find it, you'll see that it's different. It's shivering and in kind of the fetal positioning, seemingly unaware of you. It needs help. By dropping a healing effect on them, like a warming stone, which lore suggests that it would do exactly this, the Brood suddenly stands up as though healed and recovered. Now if you reload the area, you can get a reward for your kindness, and in this case, it is an extra cookbook. Pretty neat though, and it makes me wonder if there's other item or heal interactions like this one out there. But as a bonus detail, do be warned that the story NPC More, when he progresses too far on or even dies, it seems all the foragers will despawn from the game, meaning you'll miss out on their cookbooks if you go too quick or let him die. So watch out for that. Moving on from that, here's just a cute one. If you enter the different forges of the world, you'll find two main enemy types in there. There's the rock golem enemies who have that vulnerable gemstone on their back, as though that's maybe what brought them to life. And then there's the magma slimes there that can hang from the ceilings and ambush you in that way. As it turns out, these two actually have a very happy, close relationship. When progressing through a specific rune forge, the Telus rune forge, you can see this in action. By climbing up the main pipe and jumping off at the top to the right, you'll have this balcony where you can see a slime and a golem interacting. If you head in there carefully from a distance, you can have a look. The golem is gently petting the slime. Somehow it's unaffected by the heat and it seems to feel good for the slime. I guess this works because the golem is unfeeling rock. In fact, if you look at the hands of this one in particular, you can see how they're darker than the rest of it. Maybe that's an indicator of it touching magma with its work, or actually from just petting these slimes. There's something about this that humanizes these normally emotionless rock enemies. And you know what? Maybe they are just defending their home. They're just doing their thing, working the forges, and we come in here, not only stealing stuff, but killing their pets as it turns out, and murdering their allies. So maybe we're just the bad guys, no matter what choice you choose at the end of the game. Still, a very cute and unexpected interaction, so I wanted to include it. Moving on to a pretty useful thing to do with the giant fire guys, those furnace golems. Each one you kill provides some big rewards. The new crystal tiers of the DLC, some of those are incredible. There's a total of 8 of them around the Land of Shadow though, with two main kinds you're going to deal with, the unarmored and the armored. With the unarmored, you can approach it pretty straightforward. You attack their legs until eventually they stagger, bringing them crashing down. At that point, as you likely know, you run to the faceplate, you get a critical hit, awesome, this deals a massive chunk of health, and then they get up and you do it again. I've killed all of them and I found that even the tankiest one in the Ruins of Rao, it requires 2 critical hits to kill. There's often still, even then, a lot of leftover damage. Like if I could have got that critical hit sooner, it would have been a much faster kill, or if I could just do a little bit more damage before we even need a second critical, it speed things up. Meanwhile, there's the armored kind. They protect their legs with armor, so you have to reach a high ledge and throw the new hefty fire or furnace pots into the baskets above their head, causing it to explode in massive damage. These are easy because there's always a spirit spring next to the couple that require that. But did you know you can combine the methods to speed things up? Yeah, as it turns out, you can bring the golem down doing the normal method, running to the faceplate for the critical. Then, as soon as the critical finishes, you run around to the basket at the top side and throw one of those hefty pots in there. If it's a fire pot, you'll deal about 32k damage, which is massive. Against the weaker versions, rather than this one that's the most tanky, that should just kill it outright. But you can go harder and use a furnace pot instead. In that case, you'll deal about 63k damage, which will almost kill the final one here, even though it's so tanky. So using this method, you can bring down the golems much quicker, much more more effectively. And so hopefully that'll help you when farming all 8 of them. Give it a try. It's definitely nice to be able to punish the knockdown a lot more effectively. For our next thing, I want to cover the hidden remembrance duplicators, because there were those in the original game, and if you didn't know, they will work on the DLC remembrances. Fortunately, in the DLC, there are 3 more of them, and they're all tied to these finger ruins, or something to do with them. If you're unaware of what the finger ruins are, you probably want to come to this church here, the Cathedral of Manasmita, and do the quest line there. So I'm going to quickly show you the 3 locations so you're aware of them. So the first ruins here is the ruins of Rhea. And it's actually very easy to reach this one. Coming from the beach of the Cilan Coast, the nearest grace is actually this one, the coast cross. So you follow this beach along and you can encounter some finger enemies, so just be wary of that. And as you come up here, we'll reach the first grace, the finger ruins of Rhea. And so what we're going to do is follow this cliff's edge, but instead go up. It's easy to miss, and like I say, I personally did miss it, because as you're coming down here, the view and what you're doing and what you're seeing, and also the enemies that are attacking you, a little bit distracting. So here we are at the location on my map, and as you can see, we have a new mausoleum. When we examine the remains, it works just like the original ones, and any that you've killed so far on this save will be shown, including the DLC bosses, which I've carefully avoided on this specific save, so I don't see them, of course. But that's the first one. Let's now go to the next one, which is really easy, the one right behind the Cathedral of Manasmita. To reach this cathedral, if you are unaware, you just need to come to the second region and come to the Morth Ruins. By passing through here, where the entrance is on the northeast side, by the way, you go down and underground, make your way through there and come to Bonnie Village, crossing the main bridge that leads you over to the other side, and then you come up all the way up here to our next grace, which is the District High Road, and that brings you to the church, and you can get started on that quest line. But we want to go behind the church to get to this. Nothing's really stopping you from coming over here, so you can just run straight to the marker, and there it is. Our next duplicator for the remembrances, right in this location on the map. The third and last one that you're going to be able to get is here in Skadu View. This is at the Finger Ruins of Dehio. The nearest grace is the Fingerstone Hill, but obviously the Hinterland Bridge. To reach the area though, you must reach the Hinterlands, which is a pretty important location. To do that, we'll follow up from where we just were. Since we unlocked this grace, the Church District High Road, we can now follow this road and lead into the east side of the Shadow Keep. By passing through this area, you can find this kind of back entrance over here, the Shadow Keep back gate. Right next to that grace, a room to the east, is a room with a Marika statue. If you use the Oh Mother gesture here, you'll reveal a secret passage. If you do not have the Oh Mother gesture, here's where it is. If we return to where I just showed, the Bonnie Village, roughly about here is where you can pick up the gesture, and then you can bring it to that grace in that location and open up the Hinterlands. With the Hinterlands open, there's some pretty cool stuff here, but we're going to progress straight to the first grace across the bridge, and then to the second grace, and then we're going to go over to this marker right here. Just be wary, there's actually a massive cliff here with a huge drop that I just fell off. You definitely want to come down the main road so that you can come around and make your way safely over there. Just be wary, there are some finger enemies near this one that you may have to take care of. And remember, they're very weak to fire, so take them out. In any case, here is our third duplicator in this exact location. So keep that in mind when you're making your boss weapons. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so for our next thing, I bring you to the Cilan Coast, although you can find them around the world in different locations, to the fan favorite creature. These strange ghostly blue creatures, we've learned a little bit more about them. The fact that they're passive, at least most of them are, but when you attack them, they will defend each other in massive groups. They have a couple of attacks, like turning red and smashing you with their own heads as though it's a club, or like the other one there, or this one, where they spout out what appears to be their innards to try to grab you. Pretty horrible, pretty comical. They're very interesting, strange creatures. But the thing I want to talk to you about today, or show you, is not really about their nature, I guess. It's that they have these strange couple of ghostly arms. I don't really know what the purpose of those are, because, you know, when we see them attack, they attack with their own head clubs or, you know, use their innards. I've not seen them use these arms for any purpose, so it just feels like in the design it's just for fun. But there's some horror that lays just beneath. Check out this image I saw on Twitter by the account Elden Things. For some reason, they have legs. They don't just have those little spooky random arms. They have legs lying just underneath the earth. I guess it's technically possible they could get up and walk around on those, or maybe they just walk on all fours like a caterpillar or something like that. I would love to see that. But yeah, there you go. There's the horrible eldritch truth. They don't just have arms, they also have legs. Finally, a pretty important tip to know that also doubles up as a valuable item location. In the Abyssal Woods, you will face the untouchable enemies, those that have heads full of those madness grapes. The gimmick here is you can't mount Torrent, and also you can't really fight these guys directly. You're meant to avoid them and hide from them in the bushes and all that. It's a really cool area, but the truth is, you can fight them. And you can even kill them. One specific untouchable will drop an incredibly valuable talisman. To beat them, you need to parry them. So for that, I would recommend any good parrying shield like a buckler or just equipping one of the better parry ashes of war. What I mean by that is that different parry ashes have bigger or smaller periods of an active parry. In any case, I recommend the one I'm using here, the Carrion Retaliation. It has some of the best parry frames possible, but also if you miss a parry, it costs no FP until you successfully parry. So it's hard to beat that. To parry them though, you want to let them wind up that horrible golden poke you do not want to normally be hit by. To do that effectively, you want to get close before the fight really begins. You could sprint up and make it anyway, but I would recommend sneaking up to them like I did. But once it's going, just make sure to land the parry right as it's lifting the attack up. That should be the right timing. Once you land the parry, the untouchable is now touchable. From that point, it's exposed. So even if you mess up like me here and miss the critical, it doesn't matter. Now it's exposed, and the fact that it doesn't have poise means you can just start spam attacking it, easily kill it. This specific one drops that talisman, the Age One's Exultation. This grants a big boost to damage when you get a madness proc, and that's part of the now very meta self-madness proc setup to reach huge AR before a boss fight. People are using that method to kill bosses in really quick times, and you're going to need that talisman to do it. But there you have it. That's my first set of things. Be it secret or surprising details you might not have known. If you guys have seen anything or experienced anything suitable to a video like this, let us know in the comments. If I see that and use it, I'll be sure to credit you. That is a big part of how, I would find things for these videos. In any case, if this was interesting or useful, do drop a like so I know I can keep making more for the DLC. And until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.